Dear Holiness, dear friend, what is the current status of the human rights in Tibet at present?
Oh, difficult. Still very difficult. Mainly, I think among the Chinese officials, still, I think they hardliners, so they are more dominant. So the hardliner, I think fundamentally, they believe all problems can solve by force, by suppression. That's totally wrong, unrealistic. I think many parts of the world, method, more use force, never solve problem. And Tibet case, now last almost 60 years, they use force, more force. The Tibetan resistance becomes stronger. So still they do not realize that. That's the problem. However, among Chinese public and also some leaders, they begin to feel now their existing suppressive policy is counterproductive. So they are thinking more realistic approach. So we'll see, but still too early to say, definitely. So in any way, the people suffer immensely. Suffer means not sort of starvation or these things, but suffer mentally. Too much sort of, fear. There's too much anxiety, too much sad, like that. So that's why these self-immolation, these things happen.
During the last 3 years, more than 100 Tibetans have committed suicide by self-immolation. What is your opinion on these acts of self-destruction?
Of course, very, very sad, very sad. And then also, such dramatic action, drastic action, I don't know how much effect to those hardliners get more anger and more suppression. And number of cases, their families arrest or like that. So, and then I always mentioning, this is very, very sensitive political issue. Now since 2011, I totally retired from political responsibility. Then also, whatever I say, the Chinese hardliner always manipulate. So they consider me as a demon. So every word from demon's mouth, they always manipulate like that. So I prefer to keep quiet. And only prayer, only prayer.
The most of these suicides were monks. Is suicide compatible with Buddhism?
That depends on motivation. Such action carried with anger, hatred, then mistake. Carry with sincere also the motivation, and then different.
In many of your lectures all over the world, you speak about mindfulness. Why is mindfulness so important in our time?
Our life, particularly the materialistic sort of society, with too much sort of attention, or too much sort of also involve the external material values. So the material values will not solve our mental level stress, anxiety, or anger, or frustration, these things. So the mental level experience, such as fear, stress, anger, these things must solve, must reduce by mind itself. So therefore, we need some deeper level of thinking, or mental level, not sensory level. So therefore, what you call mindfulness or training or awareness, deeper level. And then watch your the sensory level experience. I mean, you should not sort of follow sensory level experience. Think more deeper way. So here, the mindfulness, thinking more deeper way, is something very, very important, irrespective whether religious believer or non-believer. It doesn't matter. We are same human being, same emotion, same sort of intelligence. So we must use our intelligence properly, and then think what called pros and cons. Some of these emotions are very, very destructive. Not only destroy peace of mind, but also, you see, eventually destroy our health. Now there's some scientists already they found peace of mind, peaceful mind is very, very important for good health. So the anger, hatred, fear, these actually some medical scientists say eating our immune system. So calm mind is very, very important. So I always say the 7 billion human beings all have same, same potential, all same mentally, emotionally, physically also. So all have the ability to use our intelligence properly. And then on the basis of pros and cons and pros and cons, now external thing, we analyze, this is something useful for our health. This is harmful. So with clear sort of knowledge, this is something good for our health, this is harmful, so avoid. So similarly, among the world of emotion, some emotion very good for our, including for our health and peace of mind, and some emotions very destructive. So with clear sort of knowledge, the differences or different sort of effects of these different emotions, then we will develop ability to destructive emotion reduce, constructive emotion can increase. So that I think concern for 7 billion human beings, not only believer or religious people.
What is the essence of all religions?
Love, practice of love. There's no question. People who believe God, Creator, the real practice is love. Many Christian brothers, sisters, they really dedicated sort of their life serving others, particularly poor people. Similarly, the non-theistic religious sort of practitioner, also you see, we can see there are a lot of, dedicated people. So all these come the teaching of love. It's the same. In the philosophical field, big differences. That's I consider philosophical views, different philosophical views is simply different method, a different way of approach to promote, to bring conviction, the importance of these practice, love, forgiveness, tolerance, so on.
100 years ago, mankind witnessed the outbreak of the First World War. Resulting was more than 17 million dead people and some 50 million in the Second World War. Do you think mankind has learned from these disasters and we have the possibility to make in the 21st century a century of peace?
Sure. I think people, particularly Europeans, you see, the elder people, I think including yourself. No?
My name is old.
And of course, German people. Yeah. Now, in my previous visit, number of German, old German, you see, they have the very serious experience during the war. So some of these old people have still sort of clear memory, how much destructive. And similarly, Japan. Therefore, I think both nations, the Japan, the Japanese, and also German people, I think, although you see everywhere, you see people now, I think, fed up about violence. So particularly, you see, these nations, I think, because their own destructive experiences, so say they really opposing war or violence. So this is a healthy sign. Now, I have sort of opportunity to visit quite a number of countries or meet people everywhere. I think the desire for peace is, I think, very strong. I think one example about Iraq crisis, about start, the demonstration from Australia up to the United States, very strong. And then Japan also, I think the Japan is, I think, the leading or spear sort of head about anti-nuclear weapons. These things is the because of past experience. Now, me, human being, seems to be becoming more mature. So, you see, the desire for peace or against the violence, very strong. So now we need still worldwide effort to stop or to reduce, to eliminate this violent method. So now, just simply telling people we don't like violence, we want peace, is not sufficient. We must introduce effective method whenever we met some problems or source of conflict due to different economic reasons or even religious sort of differences. I think we should educate. Whenever we face some sort of differences, the only right method is dialogue. All sort of differences must be solved. Human way, that's a dialogue. With respect, their interest. Consider them also as a human brothers, sisters. So, I often see telling, past century becomes century of violence. Now this 21st century should be century of dialogue.
What is the most important goal for the young generation in the future?
So that I usually call a generation of 20th century and generation of 21st century. Now I think we both, generation of 20th century, I think quite now sufficient. We create a lot of problems. So now 21st century generation, let them solve this problem. So peaceful way or through dialogue. So the younger generation, really very, very important. They have the opportunity. Past is past. Now, the 21st century, only about 14 years passed. The remaining still yet to come. So there's opportunity to create better world, change the thinking. You see, sometimes we face, I think, some problem. Then our sort of response from our emotion or how to solve this by force. That now must change. Whenever we face some problem, we must develop. We must introduce when that sort of feel or that come across immediately how to solve this through dialogue, a family level, community level, national level, or international level, global level. That, I think, through education, through awareness, I think we can promote these concepts. And then media, also very, very important to educate, to make awareness to public. Violent method is outdated. Like that I think media people and also I think thinkers or educationists, I think have important role in this field.
When you think about the relationship between Tibet and China in the long run, are you optimistic?
Yes, optimistic.
And why?
China, I mean the Han people and Tibetan, you see, 1,000 years, you see, we live side by side. Sometimes in the past, very friendly, and through marriage or through other reasons. Sometimes, fight. Some, I think, 7th century, 8th century, I think Tibet also invaded China, like that. So past is past. Now I think one sort of new sort of development. Now people start China, in China proper, the Buddhist population now over 400 millions. Many of these Buddhists, Chinese Buddhists, really showing genuine interest about Tibetan Buddhism, and many of them follow Tibetan Buddhism. So, as a matter of fact, you see, Tibetan Buddhism. Now I realize among many different Buddhist countries, and including China, I think our tradition, although same lineage from Nalanda tradition, however, we kept this tradition through a lot of study, rigorous study. So many Chinese Buddhists, as well as Japanese Buddhists, they very much appreciate our knowledge. So therefore, many of these Buddhists and Han Buddhist brothers sisters really showing genuine interest. And then beside that, Chinese intellectuals, writers. I think last 4 years, we noticed about 1,000 articles wrote by Chinese in Chinese language. All 1,000 articles fully support about our way of approach, mutually equitable solution. Then very critical to their own government policy. Now this is, I think, clear sign. Many Chinese really supporting us. Then I also met last now, over 2-3 years, I met, I think, several thousand Chinese students, teachers, businessmen, and some intellectuals, some writers. So really, many of these people, majority of them, really showing concern about Tibet and showing solidarity with us. And then now, among the top leaders in China, also, as I mentioned earlier, you see, now becoming more realistic. Now recently, the Xi Jinping visit Europe. So when he was in Paris, he expressed the Buddhism is very important in Chinese culture. So he also mentioned Buddhists should take more sort of responsibility regarding preservation of Chinese culture. So this is something quite new. The communist leader now speaks more favorable about Buddhism. It's something quite new, isn't it? Like that.
It is, yes.
So things are changing.
Do you pray for the communist leaders in Beijing too?
Certainly. They're also human beings. They also want a happy life. So when I say 7 billion, naturally they include, and particularly you see those people who have some anger, who have some negative attitudes towards Tibet and towards me, it is our duty, special prayer for them. If you want more prayer from me, and you create more problem for me, then more prayer will come.
Do you see any chance of returning to Tibet?
Oh yes, things are changing.
But you are
So
79.
yes, if I if I die,
Yeah.
you see, this year, then I may not see. But if I live another 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, or 20 years, quite sure, quite sure.
During your current visit to Germany, there was no occasion to see our Chancellor, Angela Merkel. Would it be helpful for Tibet if you will see her next time?
That depends on the situation. If current situation, sometimes it's better keep closer relation with China. Then can do more, like that. So,
Thank you very much for this interview. We will see us once more the next time. Thank you very much.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.